Howdy, Beefalo Bart here, and welcome. Sorry, I'm going to keep looking this way. Don't know why, because, well, the software that I use is on my left monitor, so I'm going to look this way. And for those who don't know or haven't paid attention before, I'm running three 32-inch monitors, so, I can reach my arms all the way out, and I can't touch the edge of either screens. So I have 7 foot of real estate worth of screen to look at. Alright, so this video is about me. Gonna talk about me. Oh god, it's gonna get boring. Yeah, probably. Maybe not. This, I guess, could be considered a vlog. I don't know. I have never done a vlog before. I don't know what the hell a vlog is, what constitutes one or not, so I don't know. Don't care. No name for it. This is just me talking about me. And if anybody wants to jump in and ask questions about me, then go right ahead. Yes, this is a mole right here. It's not some weird thing. It's just a mole. I've had it for a long time, so don't worry about it. And again, I apologize if I keep looking to the left, checking the chat box, and I'm just looking to make sure that everything's in focus and on screen. Speaking of the screen behind me, whatever. It's what I had, and makes for a decent backdrop because I can fold it up and pull it out of the way for moving around the office. Me. Okay. I am, as of this past October, turned 50 years old. Yes, I'm old. Okay. Yeah, I like video games. Yeah, I like making video games and make video game components. Am I making a game? Yes, I am. And will you see anything of it? No, you probably won't. You probably won't see anything of it for quite some time. Because I spend a lot of my time helping other people with their problems with learning the ins and outs of doing the video games. So I enjoy that. I enjoy the puzzle of learning how to do the stuff with gaming more than I do actually playing the games. So, will I ever finish a game? Yeah, more than likely I will. But in the meantime, I enjoy helping other people. I get more satisfaction out of figuring out a problem on Unreal Engine 4 and helping somebody else figure out their problems with it. And to me, that's what I find enjoyable. So hopefully, if I can help you out with doing things, that's great. I'll get more into the Unreal Engine 4 stuff here eventually. I see when people join and then leave. So, if you're going to come in and stay and get to know who I am. I graduated high school in 1987. Let's dig way back, okay? I got my first computer roughly 1983, which was the TRS-80 color computer from Radio Shack. Back then, it was 4 kilobytes of RAM. It had a chiclet keyboard. The operating system was called Color Basic. It hooked up to a television, and that's how you use your monitor, was your living room TV. And a really good living room television was one that sat on the floor. It had legs. It was a big giant wood or fake wood cabinet. And it was maybe, 27 inches, tube-type television. Yes, we had color, but when we first got the first TVs that I remember in the household were not color; they were black and white. But we had, 13-inch portable black and white TVs and portable color TVs, and whenever we get a new TV in the living room, we ended up taking the old television and moving it to the game room. And yes, I remember living in one particular town. We had a nice split level house. It was 2 stories on one part, and you had a nice big room over the garage that was an attached garage. We had a nice big swimming pool in the backyard, nice fenced in backyard to play in. It was awesome. I had a good childhood and good parents. But the game room above the garage, we had a pool table, we had pinball machine, Japanese pinball machines. But we had this one little corner where I had this gigantic floor model TV, tube type television, with the TRS-80 set up for the longest time on the floor. Till I ended up getting a little small table and setting it on that. But when you wanted to save your games, you saved them onto a cassette tape. And you had to hit play and record and type in a command and get it to save to the cassette tape. You wanted to get games, they were on either cartridge or on cassette tape. You could order through magazines. There was no internet whatsoever. And later on, they skipped from the Color Computer to the Color Computer 3. Didn't get the 2 because I'd upgraded the number 1 model quite a bit and taken it from its original 4K of RAM to, I think, 32K of RAM. K, not megs, but K, kilobytes of RAM. And had the cassette recorder, a reel-to-reel. I had the cartridge expander. I had floppy disk drives. I had 3 floppy disk drives at one point that were 5¼ inch. And then that's 1.2 megabytes of storage. Yeah, picture that. I don't remember what the storage size was for a cassette tape because, well, that never really mattered back then. Yeah, you could get Rainbow Magazine, and the centerfold would be, quote unquote, a game that was the code written down on 2, 3, 4, 5 pages of the magazine, and you would sit there and look at the magazine and type the code in and save that onto your cassette drive, and you could make your games based on that. So that was game development back in its early days. I made text-based games before graphics was really a thing for games. When the first modems were coming about, they were 300 baud, 600 baud, all the way up to a 1200 baud before the IBM computers started coming out. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with these things, and then went into service. And actually, in high school, I joined the Army National Guard and enjoyed it. But whenever I graduated from high school, when I was finally able to go to basic training and advanced training, that was cool. I enjoyed that. Plenty of stories I could tell about that stuff. And then realized that it just wasn't enough for me. So I went to an Army recruiter and I said, okay, I want to join the Army and I want to transfer from the National Guard to active duty Army. And this is in the early 80s. And I did. And I said, okay, well, first off, I want to go to Germany or I'm not signing up. Hey, Lex. So the recruiter worked his magic and said, okay, you're all set. I can get you to go to Germany. And, just pay attention to the stream and you'll know what's going on there, bud. Yeah, so it's like from there, I got stationed temporarily at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and then went to Frankfurt, Germany, and then was stationed in Berlin, Germany, which I think was one of the highlights of my life, was being in Berlin. So I'm going to move right along, come back from there, and I worked for the state after I got out of service in 1990. I will explain later on, for those who care, why I got out a little bit early. But I did get out a little bit early because I was already had been in the National Guard and served some time, plus some other things that went on. But I do have an honorable discharge. It's not like I was kicked out or anything. So they went to work for the state prison system. I ended up working for county prison system for the sheriff's department. I worked with EMS, fire department, and stuff like that. Lots I can talk about on my backstory that way. But if you guys do actually have questions about my backstory of where I come from, just let me know. Health-wise, yes, today's drink of choice is coffee from my usual Smith & Wesson M&P mug. No, I don't own a Smith & Wesson M&P. I do have, well, technically I do. I've got a couple knives that are Smith & Wesson Military and Police Edition. And I've got a couple Smith & Wesson revolvers. I like revolvers. Sue me. Health-wise, throughout the many years, I have not taken care of myself. For the longest time, for years after I got out of the service, I still like to run. I still like to keep up with exercising, and I stayed in pretty good physical condition, and I ended up getting injured, and was working at an industrial plant. It was a tire recycling plant where we would take full-size car tires, and what we would do is they would come in the back of a tractor trailer. The trailer would, 53-foot trailer would back up into this lift mechanism, and it would pick the entire trailer up like this, and all the tires would just fall out of the back into a giant hopper. And then the hopper had a conveyor system that came over and then lifted it up and then dumped them into a sorting table where we had a couple guys that would sort the tires to make sure there was nothing besides tires, and no tires that were just too big to be chopped up by the main machine. And it would go from there, it would leave the sorting table, go up and get dropped into the primary or the first chopper. And it would take a full-size car tire that's 25, 30, 35 inches in diameter and cut it into small chunks about that big, 4-inch chunks. Those chunks were then passed through a series of magnets to try to pull out some of the metal, and then it would pass into a cryo tunnel, and it would get charged with liquid nitrogen, which would bring it down to somewhere around negative 235 degrees centigrade. It then would pass that and drop it into what's called a hammer mill, which each of the two hammer mills had 96 steel blades that were about 6 inches long, about 3 inches wide, and a good inch thick. And these were spinning on a drum, and whenever the chunks of frozen rubber would hit it, it would smash them into chunks of rubber anywhere from the size of sand all the way up to maybe a 1/4-inch size chunk. So I was actually working the plant. I was the plant supervisor on the floor. I ran the plant systems, and you had the main general manager who ran everything from the office. I ran everything on the floor. I had an electrician and I had the maintenance guys. Then I had my line guys that were responsible for changing the bags, and they would get bagged based on the size of the product of up to around 2,200 pounds. Okay, we took production of that plant from maybe 30,000 pounds of product a day to 150,000 pounds of product per day by improving the systems and improving the machines and the way we did things. And one particular morning, I decided that me and the electrician, we were going to come in early, since we were the smartest of the crew, and we were going to run the plant by ourselves, because we were going to kick it off 2 hours early, and before the rest of the crew came in, we were going to go ahead and have all the systems up and running. We were going to make record production that day. We were going to kick ass and have a good time. Well, was working the systems, running back and forth, making sure everything's running good, checking my computer consoles and everything else, and one of the machines, on the hopper was hanging up, coming in from the outside conveyor. And I run across the plant and switched off the conveyor lift system. I manually pushed the buttons, to turn it off. Climbed up without ladders or anything, just free climbed the entire machine, and I'm standing up on top of this steel plate that's at an angle like this. And the side conveyor would bring the stuff up and drop it onto that steel plate, and they would drop down into the chute. Well, my foot is standing on top of this metal plate hanging over the edge, right there next to where this conveyor belt is. And the conveyor belt, if you can think, is this 20-foot wide belt that is made up of steel blades that are like the tracks of a bulldozer track, where you've got the metal links and then you've got these metal fins that are standing straight up. Well, as these metal blades are standing straight up and rolling over, the area where they meet that steel plate was a gap of maybe an inch and a quarter. And as I freed up the machine, even though I had it switched off, it kicked back on again for some reason. And my foot was in the way. My right foot was in the way. And the blade came over and grabbed my foot, pinched it down, and pinched it between that steel plate. So my foot, maybe 3.5 inches tall, where it grabbed, inside the boot, the sole of the boot, the laces, and everything else was crushed down to about an inch. And thankfully, there was that inch gap. If there was no 1 inch gap there, then I would have just pinched and sheared my foot off. I'm standing on the chute that goes down to the sorting table, which has another automatic conveyor that drops right into the primary shredder, which would have shred me into little 4-inch chunks. But since there was that gap there, it was pulling my foot into the system, and thankfully the blade let go, and I was able to get my foot out before the next blade rolled over and grabbed my shins. So I was able to pull my foot out of the machine. I fell backwards onto the chute, and it's about a 45-degree angle, and I slid down onto the conveyor belt going into the shredder, and was able to roll off of that conveyor belt and hit the ground. Injured my back, injured my right knee. My foot was, well, pretty well crushed at that point. But since your bones are at an angle in your foot, what happened whenever it crushed is it flattened out my bones like that. And believe it or not, it did not break any of the bones whatsoever. My foot just got flattened out, but everything got crushed. So all of the tissue in that area, I know this sounds gross and everything, but this is what happened to me. And it crushed my foot down, and it crushed and killed the tissue in that area of my foot. I knew that if I took my boot off, that my foot was going to just mushroom out. So I left my boot in place because, you know, I was an EMT. I worked around ambulances and stuff all my life, you know, because growing up, you know, your dad might have a Mustang in the garage that you're working on and restoring. My dad restored and repaired ambulances as a side hobby, and he would then donate them to different fire departments and stuff. So I was around ambulances all my life and stuff. So, yeah, I get to the emergency room. I get someone to carry me there, which is thankfully only a couple miles away. And they went ahead and slid my boot off. And sure enough, it mushroomed out and swelled up. And then, yeah, X-rays and so forth. They're all scratching their heads. How the hell did you not break any bones when your foot was crushed that badly? But it's just because it flattened them out like that. Instead of, you know, them being in an angle like that, it flattened them out, and I did not break a single bone. But it really just screwed up everything all the way up through into my back. And after going through physical therapy and going to different doctors and so forth, they ended up having to do temporary procedures where they would go, and for a couple days after the accident, they would actually take a scalpel, and they couldn't use local anesthetic because it would have caused even more swelling. So they would just use a topical, just, you know, like spun something on just to kind of numb it up a little bit, and then they took the scalpel and just started carving bits of my foot away. Fully conscious, with almost no pain reliever whatsoever. Yeah, not pleasant. I will say there was a big black guy called Brian that had to lay over the top of me every time they would try to do this. I really liked Brian because, you know, he had a good sense of humor, kept me laughing, and we were laughing and joking to help get through the pain. And I'm thankful I still remember his name of being Brian, because that's my brother's name also. But yeah, thank you, Brian, if you ever watch this. Yeah, you were what got me through that shit. It was rough. I actually had a machine that I had to carry around, like wear it on a strap around my neck like a man purse or whatever, you know. But it was a vacuum pump, and they had this bandage system that wrapped around my foot, and sponges and these chemicals they put on there, and it maintained a vacuum where the injury was, and it helped to regenerate the tissue and so forth, and it helped. But I was on crutches and for about a year. Yeah, it's a long process getting back to where I could walk without crutches. I still need a cane from time to time. It was a rough situation. And after that, when you're not able to run anymore, you know, probably could, but when you sit stagnant for a year and not able to really walk around too well. And lovingly enough, the majority of my family ignored the shit out of me during that period. And I lived by myself at the time. The only thing that got me through were video games. I got a check every week coming in, and it was more than enough for me to get by with from that workman's comp check. I pretty much sat at home for a year and a half, and had my foot propped up playing video games. And that's whenever I did stuff like Motor City Online, and I did some other games back then like World of Warcraft. But yeah, that's what got me through for a year and a half. But that time sitting stagnant, ordering pizza almost every friggin' day because it's so difficult. The car that I drove at the time, I had like three cars I think at the time. One of them was a Honda CRX. I loved it. It was a great car, but it was a manual transmission, kind of hard to operate whenever you've only got one good foot. The other car was a Honda Prelude. It was stripped down, and I used it as a drag car. Couldn't very well drive that because it was manual transmission, stripped down, gutted out, whatever. So I did have a Ford Bronco, a full-size Ford Bronco. Automatic transmission, okay, no problem. I could use my cane to mash the accelerator to get up fast enough to run the cruise control, and then I could bump the speed up with my hands. And I could still use the brake pedal. So it was relatively safe, thankfully, because I couldn't get my damn family members to come over when one of them lived not 500 yards away. And one lived about 200 yards away and one lived about 500 yards away. And neither one of them would come over and say, hey, do you need to go get groceries or anything? No. And so that's why I started gaining weight. It's because I could not get around, and it was just so much easier for me to call Domino's Pizza. Love you, Domino's. I still love Domino's. I don't know why, but I still do. When you eat Domino's Pizza almost every day for a year, you think you'd hate it. I would order 2 medium pizzas and 2 2-liter sodas of Mountain Dew, and that's what I ate 7 days a week for almost a year. I can't imagine why I gained weight and was unable to get the weight back off. I had the 220 mark and the 250 mark, and then kind of hovered around the 240-ish area for quite a while, and then kept being stagnant because I really couldn't get out there and run and do the things that I used to enjoy doing. So I got to the point where I hit 300 pounds and was like, holy shit, I got to do something. So I got back into bicycles a little bit and was able to bring my weight down to the 260-ish range. Series of things back and forth throughout the years after that, up and down with depression and marriage and girlfriends and this and that and everything else. And after being married for 5 years, and I don't hate my ex-wife, we just weren't meant to be married. Still love her. I tell somebody I love them, it's forever. I'm not one of those fair weather people that say I love you and then 2 weeks later I don't love you anymore. That bullshit's stupid. So, yeah. If you guys got questions, just jump in there and ask. So, can't see that one yet. I'll have to wait till it pops up on the other screen. Yeah, you're right. No, I kind of, was gambling with my life at that point. I did, but then again, on that machine, I did physically turn the machine off. And I did not know that the idiot who was my electrician had noticed some problems with that machine and decided that instead of fixing it, he would actually just go ahead and disengage the shut-off switch. So, yes, it was, of course, this is the same dumb son of a bitch also that, and I will call, I don't remember what his name is, because I don't like you, whatever your name was, you're an idiot. Sorry. I came in one morning, there were no other cars in the parking lot, but when I came in, the alarm was turned off, whatever, but the doors were locked. I unlocked the door, came in and went out on the floor and most machines you have to, you worry about heat and them getting too hot. Well, when you're feeding stuff with liquid nitrogen, you have to shut the system down. That system had to be shut down for a couple hours a day to thaw out. Because when you're running negative 235 degrees Celsius or centigrade, you get a lot of ice buildup on the machinery, and you got to go in there and let it thaw out. So you could actually preheat the machine for about 20-30 minutes and let it start to get warm, and then you can go over and then you have to manually chisel the ice off so that you can open it up and do things if you need to work on it. Well, this idiot came in and did not put a lockout tag on any of the machinery, on any of the shutoffs or node, or let anybody know that he was going to be working on anything in the system. He had already come in and chiseled off the ice, which, sorry, it was on a Monday, and we didn't operate on the weekends. So there was no ice on the machine. He went ahead and cracked open the hammer mill. Again, 96 spinning blades spinning blades of death. He opened up the machine and was getting ready to start changing the blades on the hammer mill. We could rotate them because you could use all four edges of the blade before you had to take it out and replace them. And he was going to inspect the blades. Why is the electrician opening up my machinery to begin with? Second off, why the hell didn't he secure the machines with lockouts? They were there. They were right next to the machine, the lockouts, the flags, and everything else. So I go over there, machine's not tagged. I hit the startup sequence, and I hear screaming, and I'm hitting the emergency shutoffs and everything else, and found out what he was doing. I cussed him out, and I sent his ass home. And to be glad you're not fired, because you didn't put the fucking safety tags on there, the lockouts on there to prevent it from being fired up, and then you fired it up. And yeah, I had almost quit once before because I put safety lockouts on, and at one point there were no safety lockouts and locks and so forth there for that machinery, and I needed to get into the machinery to go inside one of the machines and work on it. And the big boss in the office wondering why the machines aren't up and running. I'm like, it's because nobody can tell me where the frickin' safety lockouts are, and I need to get in here and fix this machine because I can't find maintenance. I can't find these two guys that are supposed to be fixing my damn machines because one of them didn't bother to show up or call in, and the other one, whenever he would show up for work, he'd spend the first 2 hours of his day on the damn commode with a newspaper, which I ended up firing his ass because I just got tired of not being able to find him whenever shit broke. Which sucks. I hated to fire him because I was using his trailer to haul my drag car to the racetrack. Really sucked because then I had to give the trailer back. So yeah. So yeah, through all that shit, and it left me to where I gained all that weight, and it can be difficult to remove the weight. And since I'd already started smoking, I started smoking roughly in junior high school. And we would sneak out into the playground in a certain area where there was trees and stuff that nobody could see what we were doing. And we would sit back there, and I was one of the bad boys, and I was smoking a cigarette. I would steal my grandmother's cigarettes, or they would bring some or whatever. Focus, Damien. I don't know why it won't focus. But, yeah, so I, started smoking in junior high school, and not very much at the time, but a little bit here and there just to be part of the cool crowd and be one of the cool kids. Thank you, Sinian. I hope I pronounced that correctly. 3:30 a.m. Yeah, it's 7:30 here in the p.m. Yeah, no problem. If you got any questions about the game development or anything else, whenever you wake up, give me a shout. I'll probably still be up till about the same time you're going to bed right now in your time, 3:30. I'll probably be here until 3:30 a.m. again. So yeah, just give me a shout if you need anything. So smoking throughout the years, good times, bad times of smoking more, smoking less, back and forth. Smoking is an addiction. You too. Have a good night, buddy. It's a bad addiction. So if you are thinking about smoking or you're light smoking now, quit. Quit now while you can. Because most of my audience is on the young side. So quit. Don't smoke. Walk away from it while you can. Because if you're quote unquote the lucky one, you can live to your in your 80s while you're still smoking. My grandmother was 86 when she passed away, and she smoked from age 14 till age 86, pretty much till the day she died. And eventually lung cancer did catch up to her. But that's lucky. Most people don't make it that long. Howdy, howdy. Jump right on there and in there, Skippy. So just ranting about smoking. Yes, I still smoke. When I get done doing this stream, I'm going to go back and I'm going to have another smoke. So all of this is kind of a woe is me. I'm fat. I'm single. Oh, and smoking has ruined my life. Oh, all this misery and shit. Yeah, I'm just telling you that, this is me. This is where I've ended up. But this is not where I'm going to be. Okay? Today is December 29th, 2018. 2 more days from now, on Monday, is New Year's Eve. Yeah, I looked at the calendar, because I'm shit. In a couple days, it'll be New Year's Eve. And yes, everybody talks about their New Year's resolutions and everything else. But here's the thing, is I'm to the point in my life where I'm overweight, I smoke, I'm stagnant, I can't work, I can't stand up for more than 10 minutes at a time before I'm leaning on something and I'm in so much pain in my lower back that I just have to sit down or else I'll be in tears. I go and buy groceries, and thankfully right now I do have enough resources, money-wise, food-wise, and living accommodations-wise, because of my situation, and it allows me to eat and have a place to live and power and internet and everything else. So I'm lucky in that regard, because I'm taking care of my elderly mother. I love my mother. If you don't love your mother, and if you won't admit it in public, then fuck you, you're wrong. You should always love your mother. Always love your father. I love my father even though he's not been part of my life for most of my life. Even when my mother and father were still married and we all lived in the same household, I never saw him. I appreciate everything he's done for me in the past, but, right now in my life, while he's still alive, I would much rather, and he moved out of town, so now I don't even have a chance to get together with him for lunch or anything else because he lives on the other side of the damn state. And I do blame him for that because he didn't have to. Just because his wife wanted to doesn't mean he had to. She has family here. He has family here. But you know what? It's his life. He can do whatever he wants. And it took him away from his children and his grandchildren. So he chose that. It's up to him. I'm not going to sit here and whine about it. I was taking care of my stepfather before he passed away. Why would I take care of my stepfather? Because he was a damn good man. He took care of my mother. And I'm going to get all teary-eyed right now thinking about him because he was a good man. And he was a good husband to my mother. If you had to pick somebody to be married to your mom, this was the guy. He was Coast Guard, that was his military stand, but he was also a boxer, and nobody gave my mama shit. He took care of my mama, but he never laid a hand on her, never raised his voice to her, took care of her. He was financially secure, and yeah, he was a good man, and he was a good person behind all that too. If you met him, you would have liked him. And if you didn't like him and you wanted to get into a fight with him, he'd have whipped your ass. He was a good man. in the end, whenever I'm taking him to dialysis every other day, and whenever his mental faculties were diminishing, yeah, to the point where one of the days while he was there at and the dialysis clinic, thankfully, was not even a mile away, so I could drop him off, and they would take care of him while he was there, and they would call me and say he's just about ready, and I'd come back and pick him back up. Um, there was more than one situation where while he was there, he just lost capacity of his bowels, and I would have to go and clean him like I was cleaning a baby. Like you taking care of a child. Didn't care. Just one of the things you have to do. I dread whenever that time comes for my mother, because I don't really want to be there for that. But I'm going to be there for my mother. My mother put her mother and her sister in nursing homes, and I vowed that my mother is not going to a damn nursing home. I'm going to take care of my mom. I may have to get somebody from home health to come in and help with other things like that, but you know what? She's just not going to go to a nursing home. I'll make sure she's in her home until the day she passes. Love my mom, going to take care of her. But so back to where we were for the fact that New Year's is coming up in a couple days, and I've set some New Year's resolutions, and one of them is to quit smoking. Smoking is one of the reasons why my marriage ended. My ex-wife, her father passed away from lung cancer and stuff like that whenever he was younger than I am now. And she vowed that, since we were married, and one of the stipulations for us to stay married was that I had to quit smoking. And I could not do it. I couldn't. I mean, I tried, and I failed. And I failed her because, I loved my wife, and I was unable to do that. Of course, there was a lot of other reasons too, won't get into that. But, it's just one of those things where that was one of the conditional things of our marriage, was that I quit smoking, and I just physically couldn't. And I can't blame her for not giving me the proper moral support, because, she could have done more, but I could have done more. And I'm not going to sit there and cast stones. Shit happens. Okay? But I need to quit smoking. I need to improve my diet. No, I'm not going to turn vegan. Fuck that. I like steak. Well, not really. I like chicken. I don't like fish. I tend to stay away from beef most of the time, but pork and chicken, love it. Do you know what they do to those chickens? I don't know what they do to them, but it's delicious. I know what I do with them. Garlic, butter, some herbs and spices, and in a good pan and an oven. Yeah, I'll make some chicken taste good. But yeah, I mean, I just need to improve my quality of living by getting rid of smoking, improve my diet, and I need to lose some weight. I haven't been on a scale. I've got to go tomorrow and pick up a battery for the scale. But I will get on the scale, and I will do another stream on New Year's Eve, and I will give the official results of what my weight is, and that will be my starting point. And I'm going to call on you guys. Okay? I support you guys, Skippy and Lex and all the other people who watch my channel. I support you guys by helping you guys with however I can, with learning resources and so forth, with your game stuff and whatever. I help everybody. I like helping everybody. It's time for you guys to pay me back, since I can't, expect everybody to hit that PayPal and send me money. I'm not asking you to send me any friggin' money. Yeah, I love you guys. You guys are my family online, for better or for worse. You guys are my family, so you guys are going to be my support structure, okay? To help encourage me to stay on track with losing weight. My target goal is a respectable 220. I have not been 220 pounds since sometime in the 90s. So my weight has been hovering right now, I'm going to guess, around 290. And that's kind of scary. No, I'm not going to stand up and take my shirt off and, show you the glory of this lovely body here. No, I'm just readjusting in my chair. Don't get excited. Yes, I have nice big broad shoulders and this sexy face. I know I'm sexy. I know I am. But you can see, on my face, you can see that, I'm not a skinny guy, But anyway, I want to go from wherever I am right now weight-wise, and I'm guessing around 290. I will get on the scale and have that number available on the New Year's Eve stream. Like I said, I will go and get a battery tomorrow. I did check to see what the battery size was, and thankfully it's a 2032, which is a relatively common battery, little watch battery. But I will weigh, and I will let that be known on the New Year's Eve stream. Say, okay, here is my weight, and my goal is 225. We'll say, deuce and a quarter, man, 2.5, 2.25. Along the way, we'll set sub goals. I want to hit 250, that deuce and a half mark. When I hit 250, I want to celebrate by gaining 15 more pounds. No, I'll set it to where 250 is an intermediate goal, and 225 is a secondary goal. I know that more than likely I'm not going to hit the 200 mark. I don't care if I get 200 or below. 200 would be the ultimate goal. We'll say 200 pounds. I don't really care if I get less than 200 pounds. But if 200 pound mark, right around that area right there, I feel comfortable being right around 200. I've got a kayak that I bought, and I haven't had it in the water but one time. Spent all that money on a freaking kayak, and it's just sitting there doing nothing. I got the life jacket, the anchor, the paddle, all the other stuff, but I want to be able to get out there, and there's a park not far from here that has some good good ponds that I can get into that allows me to bring my own kayak. There's a place out there on the main lake. We have, I don't know if I can pull it up and switch scenes here real quickly, but the largest lake in the entire state is not far from here, and I used to live right there on the lake. Could see the lake every day whenever I get up in the morning. Could walk outside with a cup of coffee and see the lake. But yeah, the largest, pretty much the largest lake in the state, or one of the largest. And let's switch to satellite view. Right here, Lake Moultrie in South Carolina. In fact, I used to live right here in this little town called Bono, and this town here called Monk's Corner. And I also lived right... It's changed substantially, but I lived right here in this little area here. Actually, in this area here, this has already been cleared out. This used to be a neighborhood, and they've already bulldozed and removed everything. But I could look right out right here, and this was my view, was the lake every morning. Had all the cute girls that show up there at the beach in summertime, and yeah. But used to go to, and you got let's see, in a little town when I was in this area right here in Bono, there was a canal area right here. And I can still get into this canal, and it's safe because it's shallow and it's narrow. You don't have other boats coming in here raising hell, so you could actually kayak all the way through here, through these little side tunnels, or channels rather, all the way up into here. In fact, right here is a little small boat landing that's almost not usable for regular boats, which if you don't know how to get there, if you didn't know it existed, you wouldn't even know. But you can pull in here and park and throw your kayak in, and you got all these back streams or back channels you can work with and kayak in safety and not have to worry about other boats coming in. I mean, you can go all the way up and through here, all the way up into here, come out into this section there if you wanted to, and you've got these little side areas like that where you don't have to worry about boats coming in and just ripping you to shreds and that kind of stuff. So love to get back out there and do that area again. This is all part of the canal set up by Santee Cooper, which we're setting up for hydroelectric power plant, which is the main one is here. So you got the locks there, and then the dam and so forth. But yeah, so I have a place where I can go in relatively safe area, except for the alligators. You know? But I will carry, whether I'm allowed to or not, I will be carrying my damn 45. So this is the area. I don't live in this area right here anymore. I live in this area, the Charleston area. I'm not going to zoom in and say, hey, this is my house. I'm not going to do that. Not that I'm ashamed of where I live, but I don't want someone knocking on my friggin' door, because I'll shoot through the damn door. I also have a goal money-wise that I want to go to Moab, Utah. If you've seen any of my videos where I'm talking about doing real world terrains in Unreal Engine 4, I always forget exactly where Moab is, but it's like right in this area right here. I've driven through Moab a few times, but never been able to go on a Jeep thing, you know, where you carry my Jeep there and go run the trails and so forth. Yeah, my Jeep. Moab. And the Moab area is well known for its off-road trails all throughout this area in here. And that's one of the things that I want to do, is I want to be able to afford to, for one, to be able to get out here in Moab and take my Jeep, or, you know, build a different Jeep just for it, run up Hell's Revenge. Definitely want to run Hell's Revenge, but, you know, there's a lot of trails that are out there that you can go on to that are moderate all the way up to extreme, and there's some of them that'll take you right up to the edge of where you can see the Colorado River, which is absolutely amazing. So that's one of my goals, is to make it to Moab, Utah. I wouldn't mind going to you know, other trails too, but Moab is a hell of a thing. But you think about it, Moab, Utah is like all the way from here to here. That's about a 2,000-mile trip. So, gonna be a tough one. Some of you may or may not know the things that I talk about. You know, whenever I was in Germany, I was stationed in Berlin, and absolutely one of the best times of my life. And the people that I met there, absolutely love them. I still talk to a couple people that I knew of from there. One lovely young lady in particular. Love to get a chance to go back to, you know, she just recently moved back to Berlin. She was living here in the States, and unfortunately I didn't get to hang out with her while she was here in the States, whether, you know, she was in New York and then in Texas. And I almost moved to Texas a while back, just so that I could be near her. But she's back living in Berlin. Also have another that she lives in Florida. Love her to death, Kimmy. Love you. My little sis is what I always called her. And Biggie, I always screwed up her name. Always bugs me that I always screwed it up. So, Biggie, love you, sweetie. And she lives right here in Berlin now. Yeah, Checkpoint Charlie and all that stuff. But that's another goal, is to go back to Berlin so I can go see how it looks now compared to the way it looked back then. And I've got a few friends that live way over here in Thailand, and I would like to make it to Thailand so I can go visit at least one of them and meet up with. There's a YouTube channel that I watch, which is No Time to Be Sad. Chuck Honeycutt, he shows Thailand in a way that doesn't objectify women and show them he doesn't show the go-go bars and that kind of stuff. He shows real living in Thailand life, and his wife and her family, they stay together in Isan, and you know, I envy you. I'm not sure if Chuck watches my channel or not, but he lives over here in Isan, this area. And that's far away from the Bangkok area. I'm not saying that Bangkok is bad. It's all about hookers and strippers and that kind of stuff. I'm not opposed to hookers, and I'm not opposed to strippers. I like them. But I'm just saying, I do like some of the Thailand channels that are about Thailand and not about objectifying the way that women are treated. So I'm not a sexist pig like some people are. There's plenty enough channels that feature women in terrible ways, and I'm not that way. Another area that I've looked at where I've thought about that would be a really cool place to actually retire. Cha is one of them. Getting over on this side, you're back into Pattaya City, and it's not much different than frickin' Bangkok whenever it's all about the nightlife. And I don't like loud music anymore. I don't like all that nonsense. It just doesn't do anything for me anymore. The go-go bars, the night scene, that wouldn't do anything for me. I like quiet living, relaxing. Yeah. I have fun a little bit differently than most people do now. The only thing I don't like about Thailand is I wouldn't be able to own a gun there. Well, that sucks. I got too many guns. I'd hate to have to give up on them. So, to finish out this video here, and I'll do another video later if you guys want, on whatever, but temporary goal, 250 pounds is my first goal. Weight-wise, getting down to 250, and then getting down to 225, and then ultimate goal of 200 pounds. Hitting that 200-pound mark is my ultimate goal weight-wise. I want to quit smoking. It terrifies me thinking about it because it's such an oddball addiction that just takes control of your life and ruins every portion of it. I do have an e-cig, but, e-cigs are not a safe alternative. And damn thing keeps getting knocked over and leaking fluid out and everything else. A pain in the ass to begin with, and it just doesn't take the place of smoking. I do have patches here that I will start off with. I will pick up some more gum. I will pick up some more pretzels. Why pretzels? What the hell's a pretzel got to do with smoking? You can get they're about the same length as a cigarette and similar in diameter as a cigarette. And as long as I'm holding it, I can hold on to it and it's an analog representation of holding on to the cigarette. And it helps with the dependency upon that portion of it. The thing about smoking is it's a habitual thing and becomes a habitual part of your life. First thing I do whenever I wake up in the morning is I get up, walk down the hallway, walk through the kitchen, turn on the coffee maker, the Keurig, so it can start warming up. I grab Orange Crush. You guys need to friggin' sponsor my ass. As much of this shit as I drink, for better or for worse, I know I don't drink 500 on a damn day, but, pretty much all the time I've got one sitting here on my desk, and this, I may sip on this all day long. I am not going to sit here and drink 10 of them a day, but I'll drink one, and it'll last me sometimes all day long. I'll take a couple swigs out of that. I will grab a cigarette, walk outside, have a smoke, come back, fix a cup of coffee, sit down, check emails and things of that nature, And then a lot of times I will sit here and watch a couple of YouTube videos and go back to bed. But the first thing in the morning is, the first part of my daily routine is having a cigarette when I first wake up. Then if I lay down and take a nap, the first thing I do is I get back up, go back to the kitchen, come out here into this room, take another good swig out of my Orange Crush, and go back outside and have another cigarette. And then before I eat, I want to have a cigarette. After I eat, I want to have a cigarette. If I get in my car to go somewhere, I want to light a cigarette. If I'm going to go pick up something from, we'll say, Nick's, a little restaurant that's not even 2 miles from the house, I will smoke a cigarette going there, and I will smoke one on the way back. Because as soon as I get in the car, it's habit to reach for and light a cigarette, even if it's a short trip. You know, if I'm going to go and buy cigarettes on a lottery ticket, the store is about the same. It's not even 2 miles from here. I'll smoke a cigarette on the way to get the cigarettes, smoke another one on my way to Nick's, go get my food, and then another one on the way from Nick's coming back to home. So that's 3 cigarettes in a less than 5 mile radius. You know, that's too much. Once an hour, you know, if I could make it an hour, right now I'm coming up on an hour length on the stream, and I can tell whenever the nicotine's fading out of my system. I'll start talking faster, I'll start getting jittery, my focus goes away, and all I can then think about is, now it's time for a cigarette. And nicotine just absolutely ruins your life. So they gotta go. You know, the Marlboros have been in my life way too long. I used to have Marlboro shirts and jackets and t-shirts and denim shirts and hats and wallets and keychains, and yeah, I don't want anything to, in fact, my World of Tanks and World of Warships account, yes, I have Beefalo Bart as one of my accounts, but my main account that I play on that nobody really knows about is called Medium Man. Why Medium Man? Okay, well, you must like medium tanks. No. Many thousands of years ago, when World of Tanks was still in closed beta, and then it went to open beta, it was there for the beginning of it. And it was like shortly after, their friendly fire system was weird back then, and some asshole was trolling me and kept driving in front of my tank every time I get ready to fire at the enemy, and he would purposely park in front of my tank, and he was trolling me, and there was nothing I could do. I could not do anything in the battle because this guy kept trolling me. And every time I get ready to shoot, he's pulling in front of me, and I ended up shooting his tank, and it caused me to then become, oh, I committed team damage, and then that was good enough for my name and my tank to turn blue, so then he could shoot me without impunity, even though he was the one that trolled me into getting in that situation. And instead of just getting a warning or whatever else, my account got suspended for 3 days. I'm like, fuck you. You're going to suspend my friggin' account because this asshole trolled me and made me shoot him, and I was so pissed off, I created another account. Just so I could log in and cuss out that son of a bitch, report him, and everything else I could. And nothing ever came of it as far as I know, but I'm sitting here pissed off trying to come up with the name of an account, and at the time, these cigarettes I'm smoking right now, they used to be called the Marlboro Medium 100s, the Marlboro Mediums. So, out of lack of anything else that I was trying name-wise, I saw the word medium on a damn pack of cigarettes, and I called my account Medium Man. So even a video game account had something to do with frickin' cigarettes. I'm tired of them being in my life. I'm ready to get the hell away from them. I'm done with it. So, I'm going to be calling on you guys for support. I'm going to do what I can with patches, gum, the pretzels, diet, weight reduction, and more activity. I have weights that I have placed. They're small, but they're paid for, okay? These are 3 kilos or 6.6 pounds. And I like the broad shoulder. I think, that's kind of a manly thing to have broad shoulders and whatever. But as part of what I'm going to be doing is, if I'm working on something and if something is stumping me on game development or whatever else, I will pick these up and I will just hold them out for 10 seconds. Or the next time I do it, I'll just do, raise them up, this way. I know you really can't see exactly what I'm doing, but I'll hold them out in my hand and then just do arm lifts that way. Or I will do curls or whatever. Start off with 10 reps each. And by having these next to my desk, I have no excuse. I don't have to go anywhere. They're right there. I can just reach down and work with them. So that's going to help with my upper body. Not that I have any problems with my upper body strength. Okay, I do. But so that'll be a start to that. The next part of it is, if I want a cigarette, and this is where it's going to be interesting, is right now if I walk to put the trash can out to the curb and I come back, I'm out of breath. I go to the mailbox and back, I'm out of breath. It sucks. Just doing that little bit of movement, I'm out of breath right now. So what I'm going to have to do is curb things to where, start walking. If I want to have a cigarette, then I at least need to walk to the mailbox and back, and make that, that relative distance, or the steps in the back. I've got a table and chairs out back where I can sit back and relax, but I need to walk up and down those couple stairs about 10 times every time I go out there. And if I start associating exercise of some sort while I'm doing that, then it's going to help with my mobility. And then short-term goal, I want to be able to walk to the end of this next block down and then back while I'm having a cigarette. I know it's still smoking, but I know that it's not going to be, okay, I'm going to quit and I throw them away and I just quit cold turkey. That shit's not going to happen. I know, I've tried. That's just not going to work. If I don't have them, I'm going to freak out. I'm going to get really, really unmanageable. Okay? If I know that they're there, I have a fail-safe. I know that if I fail, I have not a very safe, but a safety net. I can always, I know that I've got them, so that I can always go back to them. If I don't have them, I'm going to freak out. I'm not going to be able to sleep because I'm going to worry about, okay, well, I need to go to the store. I need to go get more cigarettes. Or I've got 7 left. I need to go to the store. I need to go to the store. I need to go to the store. It's just, I'm tired of them. So I need to start associating that time that I'm spending while I'm smoking. I need to also go out and exercise. Yeah, and if you're smoking now and you want to join in as part of this movement, then shit, I will help support you while you help support me on this. Because especially if you guys are younger and you're smoking or smoking a little or a lot, quit while you got a chance. And I will help be part of your support group if you be part of my support group, and we'll all help each other, and we can get through this. And what does it mean to you? Okay, it's selfish. Oh, I want to make sure that I quit smoking. It's all about me. Yeah, it is about me, goddammit. It's my channel. But honestly, what is it going to mean for you guys if I'm getting healthier? Well, if you're getting healthier, then you're not going to give a shit about us, and you're going to go out there and be in your kayak every damn day, or taking your guns out and go shooting, or whatever. Yeah, I am. But I'm still going to be here in the evenings to help you guys out too. So if you guys get questions about that, and even if I don't know how to fix your frickin' problem, I'll do another stream here a little bit later, and it's going to be, this is all about me right now, and what I'm planning for my New Year's resolutions and so forth, and calling out to you guys ahead of time before this actually starts. We've got 2 days. One of the things I need to do is I need to carry my ass to the store and go pick up a battery. And I may actually sneak out because Walmart's open 24 hours. I may sneak out tonight and go hit Walmart and pick up a battery for the scale. so that I can get on the scale and I can give readings. And anytime you guys want to know what the weight is, I can give you a daily reading as to what the weight is. Or I can make it a routine where I need to get back to my schedule of streaming. Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Wednesday night, I need to stick to that schedule. Every Sunday morning around 10 or 11 or 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday services with Beefalo, something that I started a while back. And then Saturday morning, or whatever, a minimum of 2 days a week doing a 1-hour stream. And then the other days, just bonus streams, whatever. Anytime you guys need help, I can either, and I'll explain this in the next video. I'm going to take a break for a little bit. And yes, I'm going to go have a cigarette. Dumbass. Yes, I am a dumbass. Take about a 15-minute break. So this is right now, it's about 6 minutes after 8 Eastern Standard Time. So around 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. About 15, 20 minutes. 24 minutes. I will start back with another stream. And I'm going to talk about a way that you guys can pay me. You can give me all your monies. No. A way that you guys can thank me for all the work that I'm doing for you guys to help you guys get through your problems with Unreal Engine 4 that won't necessarily cost you any money. Well, it won't really cost you any money at all. It's a thing that you can do for me that will help me generate money. That I'm pretty much going to keep working on my side project games with one certain individual and helping get his game developed and ready to rock and roll. But I'm going to continue to work on this project, which I'll explain in full detail in this next stream, that will get you guys to do for me and put into your games, which will be very low impact. It's one folder that you install into your project. It's blueprint based and it's simple. I promise. I'll explain all of it whenever I get into the stream. And it'll be a way that you guys can thank me that won't cost you anything money-wise, that'll take you a few minutes to implement into your maps. It's advertising, billboards and things. I handle all the advertising, and look at it like this. I'm a grumpy old bastard. I don't like bullshit ads. There's not going to be any, when you hurt in a car wreck, does your penis not work and you need a little blue pill to make your dick hard? No, not going to be any of that bullshit advertising. It'll be advertising for companies that are going to be paying me to display ads within other people's video games. And they will be hand-selected advertisements, but there will also be a premium level, which I'll explain that as well. But there will be billboard ads, television ads, radio ads, things of that nature. But again, I'll explain all that in the next video. And all you guys would have to do is just plop this into your project and plop this into your games. And as you distribute your games however you want, it doesn't affect your revenue or anything else. You're just doing this as part of a way to thank me for helping you. And again, I'm not going to get into detail on it right now. And, at 8:30, it's 10 after right now. So in 20 minutes when I start up the next stream, I'll explain every bit of it. And that's what I'm going to be pushing from New Year's Eve on, is primarily my system here for you guys to thank me in your projects, is to add this into your game without it costing you anything. It doesn't cost you any money. I just send you the files, you plop it into your project and go. And I'll explain that in the next stream and you'll see what I'm talking about. And for right now, it's going to be just a thank you measure, but later on this is going to be my primary source of income, and I'm going to try to promote this on much larger scale. And that'll mean having to create stuff for Unity, UE4, and for other game engines as well. So, okay, we'll get into that soon. But I want to thank everybody for watching, and I will be back really shortly with another stream. Gonna go ahead and take a break, and I'll get that one set up, and we'll get rolling on that one. We'll see you guys back in about 20 minutes. Thank you guys. Love you guys, and we'll see you soon.